Q3, bringing the social producers to life. Now Q3 is where we really started cooking with fire. By this stage, we developed our digital footprint, produced the brand assets, and completed MVPs. Now it was go time. This quarter had two major projects to complete, to operationalize and to soft launch. Now there's a lot that goes into these projects, so it was imperative to us to keep the project count to the essentials. And to us, this quarter was much different than the other ones, and we've referenced this as the people's quarter, because much of it was about dealing with people. Internal people, external people, this was our coming out stage. Operationalize. We hired staff, we got a dedicated space, and we launched the site. Now the first step was to get the site launched because we came out during this quarter. This was when we began our vlog series, our day in the life of a startup, using Hootsuite as our platform for social outreach. It's worth every penny of the subscription cost, and we started engaging with like-minded businesses, following and engaging with relevant hashtags, and started a very major push to connect with people on LinkedIn. This is also when we hired staff for production. We posted an ad on Craigslist looking for an editor. The response was overwhelming. At least 100 applicants emailed. We tracked all of them with, you guessed it, an Excel sheet, and having their info centralized would come in handy in the future. Now the sheet was broken out with CRM columns in mind: first name, last name, email address, portfolio links, and comment section where I kept notes. Now 2 weeks were spent going through all of the applicants' info, calling them, emailing them, meeting them, and vetting them. And once the pool was down to a short list, I then tasked the selected applicants to produce a small project based on briefing info using the same assets. I tried to keep the info provided clear, but not totally prescriptive. I wanted to see how they would handle this situation because it would indicate how they would handle a live client situation, which in my experience can run the gamut from very highly informed to chaos. Now it cost a bit of money up front, but it was well worth the investment because it weeded out those who presented well from those who could actually produce, and more importantly, those who could hit deadlines. This was also the quarter where we had to find a dedicated space. The work share wasn't sustainable, but thankfully I had kept lists over the previous months of potential spaces and landlords. Finding the right space for us wasn't too difficult, considering that I was looking for a unit that would offer a 12 to 18 month lease. Ideally hope for the best, but plan for the worst. And how did we track? We tracked pretty close to 100%. We hired our first employee, we got our office on King Street, and we came out to the world. And what did we learn? Launching the site was pretty painless. Pre-planning and timelines mitigated most issues, and as stated, this quarter was all about people, actual live human beings. We shouldn't have been surprised to learn that some people can be not that great. One third-rate PR person that I attempted to connect with on LinkedIn turned out to be not a very nice person. He began a 4-day process of vetting me because his LinkedIn connections were only about win-win-win for him. We also learned that people will apply for a role they're really not qualified for, and out of the 100 applicants, I would say 50% didn't actually have portfolios to review. This cemented the decision to pay for shortlisted applicants to create a sample project. Vetting was crucial and resulted in hiring a terrific gentleman with a great attitude, first-class skills, and has become invaluable to the business. And finally, a short-term lease was definitely the way to go. Getting locked into a 5-year term seemed like insanity. It turns out that asking landlords for a shorter term wasn't too controversial. Most of them were happy to fill the space with people who weren't trying to grow or sell weed. So the big lesson here was the same as hiring: vetting. We took our time, we looked at a lot of places. The process itself was educational, and with each new unit we learned a little more than we knew before. We made quick decisions, but we didn't make rash ones. We also had the landlord prescribe every single cost in detail. Any curveballs? We were in the process of signing on a lease when we went in with the necessary documentation and financial items, and we were ready to go. At this stage, the landlord threw in an addendum onto the originally quoted lease with additional costs that increased the total rent amount by 25%. Now thankfully we walked away because later on we found a perfect spot that was in a much better location. The soft launch project. Now, we've said before that Q3 was the people's quarter. This was the most nerve-wracking of all quarters and projects because it really involved putting myself and the team's work out there. It meant being vulnerable and finding out what the world at large really thought about the social producers. There were 4 major tasks for this project. reaching out to friends and family for new business, posting local classifieds, posting our work to my professional network, and trying to get net new, aka random customers to buy our product. Now, we were no longer an idea at this stage. Ideas are fun and hopeful, and most people are supportive when you talk to them about an idea. Now we were a product, and with products, people are discerning, they're skeptical, and they're critical. And as they should be, because we're asking for their hard-earned money. It was no longer personal, now it was business. So what did we do? Well, we reached out to friends, family, and close colleagues to get business. We refined our sales pitch, and we were grateful for honest and unfiltered feedback. We even produced a couple of videos at a discount. For local classifieds, we posted online and on supermarket bulletin boards. To acquire net new customers, we ran a targeted paid media campaign on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We ran a base campaign to see who would engage to get some initial audience info, and then followed that up with separate campaigns targeted towards a few key demos. It didn't cost very much, and we ended up using Animoto to create some basic spots. Spreading the word for us was all about posting on social media and asking for business of varying levels to my network on LinkedIn. Now, how did we track? Well, we pretty much hit all of the milestones we laid out for this project. Their levels of success? Well, that's a different matter. So what did we learn? We learned quite a bit. So again, this segment will be slightly longer than usual. Now, family is family, and they may flake out, but you gotta keep a smile and don't take it personally. And don't bring it up at the next family function. Now, with local classifieds, we got what we paid for. Zilch, zip, nada. Our net new task provided us with a wealth of data and drove a few sales. Facebook's extended audience option was dangerous. Our ads appeared on a black hat site, it burned money quickly, and wasn't super effective at driving ROI. The audience network was scrapped, and in the end, we did get a few customers from Facebook, but its real value was in data. We ran small paid media campaigns promoting video production products to 4 demos: males, females, boomers, and millennials. We created a series of ads to run in the demos listed above. We created male Caucasian ads, male people of color, female Caucasians ads, female people of color, group lifestyle, and a graphic ad with no people. Now, we discovered that boomers would watch the videos and eat up our impression spend, but they rarely took further action. The audience delivery for boomers skewed male 60-40 to female. The graphic ad bombed, nobody watched, nobody engaged. The male people of color and Caucasian ads also bombed, but the female ads of both types converted. The group ad also converted. The master campaign was optimized towards these findings. Now, in the end, we got a handful of customers for our video resume product, but it took time to help them write and script and actually produce the videos. It was triple the cost of the expectations in our forecast. We decided the margins were too small and that we would scale back prioritizing this offering. However, the single most valuable insight we learned to date came from this quarter's projects. Our target audience was SMBs. Reaching out to friends, family, and close colleagues uncovered our new primary focus. Way back in Q2, we hypothesized that most of our business would come from the B2C channels, specifically video resumes. MBAs hungry to stand out, boomers who needed to update their image in the workforce, and job hunters overall who wanted an edge. This was flipped over. SMBs were hungry for our product. The sentiment was fairly common. They wanted this type of product, they didn't know where to start, and we presented a price point that they could get on board with. Now, we took on a couple of pro bono gigs as loss leaders for that quarter, but they paid dividends in the next quarter. It became abundantly clear SMBs would be our bread and butter. Any curveballs? The B2B demand and reception was unexpected and definitely caught us by surprise.